Shalom to everybody. Hallelujah. We're blessed, certainly, to have an opportunity again today to take a break and catch our breath and learn some truths that I'm quite sure for all of us that probably don't really hit our minds on a regular basis unless they're put in front of us. And so many of these principles that we've been looking at for 13 weeks and we'll continue looking at for quite a few more weeks in front of us, many of these principles will revolutionize a human life if they will pay heed to them. And as you'll see in the next few bits, it goes with some things that I've been saying for quite some time. You know, the Torah does you no good if you don't use it. It doesn't do you any good to know it if you're not going to apply it. And so it actually becomes a detriment, and we'll find out that there's some psychological things that are really not new wisdom for us by any means, but they are certainly wisdom that we need to be reminded of and hold on to. So shalom to each and every one of you guys. I hope you'll be blessed. Thank you to everybody who has been a blessing. We will endeavor to continue to find truth that maybe everybody else isn't sharing with people. So I hope that will be a blessing to you. Let's pray. Father, bless you today. Thank you for your goodness and for your wonderful mercy. Thank you for the love that you've shown us by these words, that you really do care about us, that you desire to give us the truth, but then of course we must also accept your gift. And so I bless you today and I thank you. I ask you to be with us, help us to be strong, help us to speak words that help people's lives, and I thank you for it. Amen. Michael? All right, well, we're in the book of chapter 14 of the book of Ecclesiasticus. For those who may not have an Et Sefer, you can, I believe, access Ecclesiasticus off of the Sacred Text site. There may be a link on here. Most generally there is. I appreciate the feedback from those who have made use of those links and actually gone and then contacted me and let me know that you were really blown away by the documents that are able. So if you haven't been, then hopefully you'll take advantage of that. Maybe there's nothing there today that will help you, but I promise you, I have found in my short 20 years of being a pastor that tomorrow could change everything. So it's amazing how many different ways and how many different times Yah tells us truth to help us to improve our life. And I guess I would want to say that, you know, all of these words, I find often, and so this is for myself, I find often that I have to really be careful and struggle that I don't allow Yah's word to offend me. My mind goes back to the verse that says, you know, great peace have they whose minds are stayed on him and nothing will offend them. Just look for that person. And then look at yourself and ask yourself, is that you? And I certainly have very often, I have to be honest, and I've found myself to be that person. Sometimes things just don't feel good. But I have to be honest and admit that most of the times that it don't feel good, the reason it don't feel good is because I'm guilty of it. And so I guess if we're growing in wisdom, maybe that's a piece of wisdom we should grab a hold of. If I feel offended, then I probably need to go focus on myself, not get mad at the messenger. And yet, I find it's infinitely easier for people to get mad at the person that sent the message than, you know, because really the truth of the matter is, folks, is I didn't write none of this. There is no book of mine. There is no Bible love. These are Yah's words and Yah's inspired words to us to help us to live a better life. And so I guess really if you want to be fair and honest, then if something comes across and it's offensive, then maybe you ought to go talk to him about it. Maybe you need to spend time in prayer with him, asking him, why do I feel so bad about what was said, or why am I so offended? You know, you look in our society and you have to admit, no matter who you are, and I'm pretty sure both my grandkids already know this at their age, but you look around and it's pretty easy to find offended people everywhere you go. And if they're not offended already, they will be very shortly. You know? So as we grow and learn, then we have to learn that is there in the Bible because it's real. We're going to find something out tonight. Yah's speaking now. Of course, there may be some applications towards women, but to a large extent, a large quantity of this is directed at the man. The principle works for women, but it was directed at a man, so there could be some nuances that maybe wouldn't really ever fit with a woman. So let's check it out. You might be surprised. If I had to title chapter 14 of Ecclesiasticus, I would title it this, An Envious Man. So let's take a look and see what wisdom has to say to us. Blessed is the man that has not slipped with his mouth. Well, I don't know that man. If that's the only thing that marks you as being blessed, then I'm doomed, Zad. Because I have slipped a whole lot more than once or twice. So, think about that though. Blessed is a man who's not slipped with his mouth. You see how that could also apply to women? But there's certainly a significance, even more so in a family. If the man is the head of the family, then what the man says has efficacy. So, blessed is the man that is not slipped with his mouth and is not pricked with the multitude of sin. All of us know that we all go through times when we feel uncomfortable, and that sometimes we go through those times that feel uncomfortable because of our actions. Anybody besides me ever encounter that? You get off with the world, you get out of, however you want to terminize it, you know, you get out of sync, but a lot of times that comes out of conflict inside of us. So Yah says, blessed is the man that doesn't slip with his mouth and isn't pricked. So you'll find being pricked is not so bad if you're a sinner, but you shouldn't have it if you're not. Did you hear that? Being pricked, having a conscience is a good thing if you're sinning. It doesn't really do anything for you if you're doing right. It doesn't motivate us away from bad things typically. If we're living a right life and doing a right life, we're pretty much usually at peace and pretty happy and can overcome things easier. And then, boy, when you get into that other situation, it gets a whole lot rougher. I have some people shaking their heads, so I know that I'm tracking true. Blessed is he whose conscience has not condemned him. You see it? And who has not fallen from his hope or his expectation in what Yehovah will do. Hope is, unfortunately, it's right next to faith. It's right next to grace in the language of the dominant religious system in America. Yeah, they love all of those. But faith, hope, and love. Yeah, well, let's go find out what those words really mean. And it ain't what we thought it was. So, who have not fallen from their expectation in Yehovah or of Yehovah's action. Riches are not comely for him who is ungenerous. Stingy people never like to give. It's just that simple. And what should an envious man do with money? This is going to be quite shocking as well, because there's some things here that if you really do care about finding out what truth is, you will go research these for yourself and find out, because I've just give you the insight. There is a much greater understanding that is supposed to come out of this. If you don't know what these words mean, you might want to go find out, because it's very significant. Okay, the context, everything in the Bible is inevitably always circles back to context. So what does this word mean in context? Riches are not comely for him who is ungenerous. And what should an envious man do with his money? And I've already given the hint, so you find the riddle. He that gathers by defrauding his own soul. Listen at that. Let me break it into English so the archaicness might slide away there. A person that gets gain by defrauding people actually defrauds his own self. And the things that he does gain, guess what? They're for other people. That shall spend his goods riotously. So then, if I get gains wrongly, Yah is going to put something against me that lets me never get the thing I thought I was going to get out of him. In fact, he's going to give that to somebody else. Wow, that's a pretty huge statement, isn't it? So then, if we really do believe and understand Yah, can I ask you a question today? Is there really any benefit in defrauding people? Is there any out of tricking people or cheating people? Is there any benefit in that? First off, we know that there's no honor. There's no honor amongst thieves, folks. Even thieves know that. You know, it's so funny to me that the people in that other denomination that I used to be in, that they could talk about all of this right and just and all of this other stuff, and then they would defraud each other. There's as many of them in court fighting each other as there is them fighting the pagans, folks. Where's the love? Riches are not comely for a man who is ungenerous. It's not good. Comely would be good. When somebody is comely, they look good. They have a beauty. They're well. And riches aren't comely. Riches are not good for a man who's ungenerous. In fact, they're really bad because they curse you. You see how significant a little verse like that with just a little bit of understanding? Do you see how huge that is? So what if we took that and we read it through the Scripture? What if we read that through the Scripture in our everyday life, and we come into an opportunity to get gain, and maybe it's just ethically or morally not really that right. Like if a man is walking in front of you in the Walmart and a $20 bill falls out of his pocket, it's a righteous thing if you keep your mouth shut and pick it up and put it in your pocket, right? God took it out of that guy's pocket and gave it to you, right? Because now God's a thief. So what would be have you stolen anything from him? Wasn't it really, if we can be really honest, wasn't it really his fault that he didn't take better care of his money? Isn't that a true statement? I mean, if you stick the keys to your car in your pocket and you walk into the Walmart and your keys fall out and somebody doesn't see them and kicks them under a cabinet and you can't find them, isn't that really your fault for not taking care of the keys to your car so you could go home? The fact that we even have to think about that should concern us. It's a right and wrong issue. It's supposed to be for a person who loves Yah. Those kind of things are supposed to be split-second thoughts. I call it common courtesy in an uncommon world. Riches are not comely for him who is ungenerous. Why? Because even if they give, then all they're going to do is want something for it in return. And the purpose of giving a gift is giving it from a happy heart because you feel blessed that Yah loves you. That's supposed to be a positive thing, not a negative thing, right? So the scriptures tell us that an ungenerous person will be unhappy even though Yah has promised him a reward. Of course, he also did promise that if you give and you're a greedy person and you give greedily, that he will punish you for that too. So even if you give and you don't give in the right spirit, it still brings the wrong, because the spiritual things really are as significant as the physical things. Riches are not comely for him who is ungenerous. It's not good. It's bad, actually, for them. And what should an envious man do with money? He that gathers by defrauding his own soul gathers for others. Same principle recurring and evolving in different facets, folks. He's trying to show us a beautiful diamond of protection for ourselves if we would just listen and put it into our lives. So, back to the obvious statement I made a while ago. If me defrauding someone else is actually stealing from myself, then why don't I just not do that? Why don't I just not defraud other people? Why isn't a handshake of doing business enough? Just because you renege on your name doesn't mean I care to renege on my name. You see what I'm saying? But you're not going to get anything out of it. In fact, all of the stuff that you're going to gain, Yah's going to make sure actually gets given to somebody else. You're not going to even get the benefit of it. Now, it doesn't mean that a person who's lying, cheating, stealing, robbing, conning people, that they're not going to get money and go spend a whole bunch of it. The point is that it will never accomplish good. Yah wants us to accomplish and to be blessed with good things, folks. It's like one guy said, well, we'll just do God's work for him and they can give us the money. Okay, that's pretty corrupted, but... And then of course they won't even spin it right. He that is evil to himself. So do you see, you're going to see again, because the whole envious man thing pops up a little more. But it's all tied between wickedness in all of its forms includes being envious. We learned 7 years ago when we went through all 12 of the patriarchs. Some of you don't remember, and some of you certainly a long time weren't with us. But going through those 12 patriarchs, we haven't done that in about 5, 6, 7 years. Maybe we need to go back and go through them because they were pretty eye-opening. But I'll never forget, if I didn't get anything else out of reading all of those, I got this one piece, and there was a statement that was made. Can't remember which brother, maybe Yehuda. But there was a statement that was made, and it said that an envious person will never be able to see the good that someone else is doing. And when I stopped, I started thinking about people in my life that I've been around and I've lived around, and I went, wow, that's what that was. It really was the spirit of envy that lives inside of that person. You've been around them, you know that. You've been around people who all they can do is talk bad about people. Somebody does well, it's like, well, that person, come on, we've all been that person. So he that is evil to himself, to whom will he do good? Who do you think that a person that, I share this teaching a lot of time off of Yeshua's teaching about the splinter. The first problem that most people have is they believe that they have to pull the splinter out of their own eye. No, you have to help somebody, but those are just steps you have to go through to get to the point of helping. If you don't ever do the one, you'll never accomplish the other. But the accomplishment that Yah wants from us is that we put ourselves in a position so that we can help other people. That's a big statement. He that is evil to himself, to whom then? I've had a statement I make. Until people love themselves, they'll never love anybody else. And I've met maybe hundreds of thousands of people that fit that bill. There is none worse than he that envies himself. Once again, there's another little drop to the pun. Find out and find wisdom. There is none worse than a man, he that envies himself, and this is a repayment for wickedness. So see how significant that then becomes? So what he really says is it becomes very clear. We can then surmise that an envious person must be wicked. So envy in the form that we understand it in the American corrupted vernacular isn't at all what the meaning would have meant for this statement in Hebrew. We have to first find out in Hebrew concept, what would an envious man be? Would that be somebody who's stingy? You know, they used to say that you had an evil eye. That wasn't because you put the stink eye on them. It was because it meant you were stingy. So now we have envious that comes in, and it's also a word that gives the connotation of an envious person is wicked. And the reward they reap for their envy is wickedness. I think that's pretty huge if you're a human trying to follow the Torah and follow Yah. In fact, I find it very difficult to find very many words in here that aren't. A brother that I've had several conversations with lately, he said, I'm digging for the gold nuggets. Well, I've been throwing gold nuggets out for 20 years, folks. This is hard stuff, man. You look at this and read this and then go try to live it. It's hard stuff. It ain't easy. You ain't going to lightly do Yah's word, I promise you. It's going to take all of you, which is why most people won't do it. There is nobody that is worse than a person who envies themselves. And this is a repayment, a recompense, a repayment because of their wickedness. Wow, that's a huge statement. The envious man has a wicked eye. Another clue. He turns away his face and he despises men. Even more so when people turn away their face and they despise a man of Elohim because of the words that he says. But it's not just really that relationship. Guess what? They're doing it to even non-men of Elohim. So it's really like bad on bad. And if he does good, he does it unwillingly. Oh my gosh, are the red lights flashing for anybody? Huh? Listen, folks, if we have to be forced to do it, don't waste your time. Just don't. You're wasting your time. Do you see how huge that is? And if he does good, he does it unwillingly. Ever been around those people? You get somebody, you ask them to help you, they say, oh, well, yeah, I'll help you, but then they let you know that they helped you the whole time. And at the last, he will declare his wickedness. When is he going to declare his wickedness? At the last. Well, you can apply that in context however you want to, but I'm going to tell you right now that statement fits all of the context. Latter, previous, as well as present. The envious man has a wicked eye, and he turns away his face, and he despises men. Turns away his face and despises men. A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion, And the iniquity of the wicked drives up his soul. So a covetous man is not satisfied with his. He wants yours too. A wicked eye envies his bread, and he is ungenerous at his table. Another sign, another piece, another one of those clues to the riddle that I posed in front of you. Covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion, and the iniquity of the wicked dries up his soul. A wicked eye envies his bread, and he is ungenerous at his table. My son, according to your ability to do good, wow. But listen, according to your ability to do good to yourself. I'm sorry, I had a little slight in fluctuation there that I wasn't really getting through. According to your ability, do good to yourself. And give Yehovah his due offering. Maybe in our lives sometimes we question. Obviously, if Yah inspired these words, folks, and he says that, hey, you better remember this, it obviously means something to him, right? Can we buy his affection? If we give it unwillingly, then we also curse ourselves. So now we not only have to give to Yah, we have to give to Yah in the right spirit. Wow, that's significant, isn't it? Don't you guys think it is? But do good to yourself. Is there anything wrong with having a new car? I used to say it like this: it's okay as long as the car don't have you. And oftentimes the things that we covet have us. Remember that death will not be long in coming. Wow, and those words haven't been any truer. I've talked to more people about death in the last 2 weeks than I think I have in my whole life. And it's not just me that's recognizing that my statement, well, I might have 20 years left on this earth and I ain't going to be here anyway. My little journey is going to be over with. Good luck. Are you hearing me? Folks, this ain't just mundane thing. Obviously, it's pretty important for us to think about our mortality or lack of that. Remember that death will not be long, no matter whether you're my granddaughter or whether you're a newborn baby, my other granddaughter. Right? It's still a short journey. I hope she lives to be 100 years old, but 100 years really in the scheme of time ain't much. Remember that death will not be long in coming, and that the covenant of Sheol is not showed unto you. What does that mean? It means that there's a mystery here of things that are going to happen that we don't know anything about. It's like even in all that Yehovah has exposed to us, he hasn't given us all. We don't understand what's going to happen. If you ask people, half the people think they're going to heaven when they die. They think Andy Griffith waiting at a park bench on the other side for them. You know, Mama will be there and we'll be singing and shouting and dancing to victory. Really? Can you please show me that? Because I can't find it. I found in Ezra where it don't look nothing like that. I found over there in Baruch where Baruch prophesied 2,000 years ago what the end might look like, at least pieces of it. I read stuff in Revelation, I read stuff in Solomon, but none of them know the answer. What happens when man dies? You don't know. And there ain't nobody that knows. And anybody who tells you they do is a liar. You better run. Ain't none of us know. But it's obvious from this writing that it's pretty important that we deal with death in our life. I have no hope of immortality if I don't deal with death while I'm alive. Do good unto a friend before you die. Do good unto a friend before you die. According to your ability, stretch out your hand and give to him. Wow, isn't it amazing that it goes directly to a friend? Let's ponder. Well, hopefully whoever our friends are, whether they're our family or not our family, hopefully those are the ones that we bless. How many of you know that's not what we've been taught? Wow, do good unto your friend. That's who you're supposed to take care of. If we place the value on that word that it deserves, that verse right there would mean something completely different than what it does to most people. We like to, you know, have a whole bunch of t-shirts printed out that say friend on the back, and because it says friend, then we must be. Although that's not wisdom by any means. Remember that death will not be long in coming, and that the covenant of Sheol is not showed unto you. So you do not know it. The covenant that was made with death. Do good unto your friend before you die, and according to your ability, stretch out your hand and give to him. Defraud not yourself of the good day, and let not the part of a good desire overpass you. So, is it possible that all of us are just too twisted up most of the time? How many of you ever have deprived yourself? I'm not saying deprived yourself because that's what it took to get to where you wanted. The desire is where we're talking about, not the journey that it took to get there. Like you want a new car, or you want a new house, or you know, you have to do such and such. That's the depriving before you get the prize. All of us get deprived. If you buy a house before you go to signing, you get deprived because they want money for this and money for that and money for this and money for that. That's the deprivation. The prize, the desire, is getting the house. But sometimes you have to go through some things to get there. Or a new car, you have to jump through their hoops at the bank to sign the papers so you can drive your $60,000 tin can. Right. Especially if it says Jeep on the back. I'm messing with my granddaughter. Defraud not yourself of a good day. Maybe we really should sometimes take those times when we go, well, I'd really like to, but no, I'm not going to. We've all done it. And so there must be a concept every now and then we need to reward ourselves. And you don't have to feel guilty about it when you choose to do that, if you do it wisely. And let not the part of a good desire overpass you. In other words, go live it. Go experience it. Maybe you want to play a $8,000 Les Paul. Go someplace where you can play it and pick the thing up and play it. You know? You'll never know what it's like to play an $8,000 Les Paul until you pick up an $8,000 Les Paul. Maybe it feels different. I mean, you just have to ask, right? Do good to others, your friend. Do good to your friend. Do good to yourself. I think that's pretty good, solid wisdom. Shall you not leave your travails unto another, and your labors to be divided by lot? When you're dead, won't your children be more than capable of splitting all your stuff up and selling it and going on a vacation to Paris? Loved it the other night. We were watching a new TV show we had never seen before, and they bring things up to be bid on, and a guy had something he was selling, and it was all of his most loved tools of his grandfather's, but they were stapled to a board trying to sell them. Makes sense, doesn't it? It's a perfect picture of what's being said right here, folks. Some of these things are just you got to see them to realize how real it really is. Shall you not leave your travails unto another, and your labors to be divided by lot? Give and take, and sanctify your soul. How do we set our souls apart for the day of death, folks? I know that some of you may not understand this, but folks, it is really becoming obvious that really one of the biggest pieces of our journey through life as humans has to do with the reality that we recognize that there's something after this, and that if we want to be there, we have to prepare now. If you want to be there, you have to prepare now. There's no die and you get to stand, or at the last second before you gulp that horrible last breath, you say, "Oh God, forgive me, I believe all of your Torah." And that makes it okay. It's all good now. You broke every Shabbat for 9,900 years. Broke them all. Never cared about his festival. You loved the balls hanging on the tree, but forget that Sukkot. Are you hearing me? I had lots of years of that. It's a wonderful thing to get up and look at my wallet and not have no money and be so happy that my children had Christmas presents to open. Isn't that the way that this society functions? We glorify everything y'all said not to, and we don't glorify everything that he says is good. I'm telling you right now, Sukkot is a blast. It's uncomfortable. My back hurts every year. Sometimes we have hamburger gravy that looks like gelatin. But you know what? We show praise Yah. Ain't it? It's a learning lesson every day, ain't it? Yeah, it is for us. I don't know about y'all, but we trying to live this thing. It's a learning lesson every day. Do good unto your friend before you die, and according to your ability, stretch out your hand and give to him. Defraud not yourself of the good day, and let not the part of a good desire overpass you. Shall you not leave your travails unto another, and your labors to be divided by lot? Give and take and sanctify your soul, for there is no seeking of dainties in Sheol. So if you want to enjoy it, you need to enjoy it now, because you ain't going to over there. All flesh waxes old as a garment, for the covenant from the beginning is. Why is it so? What covenant? I thought we lived under the new covenant. For the covenant from the Hebrew, come on Hebrew scholars, better sheet. From the beginning, from the Genesis, is this: you shall die the death. It's appointed unto all men. That was the very first covenant given. It was appointed unto all men once to die, and then judgment. We all gonna get that. Might be the only thing that's the same from human to human, but you all gonna be the same at judgment day. Dead. As of the green leaves on a thick tree, shall some fall and some grow, So is the generation of flesh and blood. One comes to an end, and another is born. We're all going to see it. Every work rots and consumes away, and the worker thereof shall go withal, or do the same. Blessed is the man that meditates good things in wisdom, and the reasons of holy things by his understanding. Did you see that's actually, so you want to know what they're talking about? Is they're talking about a reasoning? Did we hear about reasoning recently? And then all of a sudden, do you think it's just a coincidence or happenstance that this scriptural reasoning all of a sudden pops up in a completely unknown book from fourth book of Maccabees? Maybe there's something there, maybe no, I don't know. He that considers her ways in his heart, wisdom, shall also have understanding in her secrets. And we live in a world that has no understanding, folks. They don't. I'm sorrowful. I know that it's sin, and I know that it's powerful, and I know that it's spiritual, and I know all these things, but these people that are spouting all of this absurd stuff in our society, they ain't got no understanding. They have no clue about what they're saying. But I do know this, that blessed is the man that meditates good things in wisdom. That's not man's wisdom, that's Yah's wisdom. Yah's wisdom is most typically, unless somebody is a true follower, Yah's wisdom is offensive to most people. Go after her as one that traces and lie in wait for her. Everybody knows who the her is, right? Her is who? Her is wisdom. Go after her as one that traces and lie in wait for her. He that pries in at her window shall also hearken at her door. He that lodges near her house shall also fasten a pin in her walls. If you understand in the Hebrew mindset the concept of all of those, then they'll all make sense. They're very clear, simple things that make sense. He shall pitch his tent nigh unto her, and shall lodge in a lodging where good things are. So wisdom then is very critical for us to have a good life. We can't have a good life without Yah's wisdom. Can't have a good life without wisdom, and we can't get understanding without wisdom. So we can't get from a good life to understanding without going through wisdom. But those that do recognize, those that do find her, will build a house close to her so they can be there with her every day. He shall set his children under her shelter, and shall lodge under her branches. And even if his children are his grandchildren, he will set them under her branches. By her he shall be covered from heat, and in her glory shall he dwell. Wow, what a huge promise. That if we listen and pay heed to all of this stuff that Yah is telling us so that we can have a better life, then we can have a better life. Life can have value. It doesn't mean that life isn't difficult. It's difficult for all humans. The difference is it difficult with someone, or is it difficult by myself? And when I'm by myself and I don't feel close to him, it's difficult. I don't know about y'all, but for me, it's difficult. I get very, very, very uncomfortable. So, I hope you guys have been blessed. Y'all's amazing. He's amazing. No matter how bad things get, they're always good. It's hard sometimes for all of us to see that. But I would rather be with him in bad times than I would to be by myself in good times. Because inevitably them good times will turn into bad times because of me, probably. So, bless you guys. I hope you were blessed. We'll be back on Saturday at 2 o'clock. I hope you experienced all of the richness that Yehovah's word is meant to impart in us. Shalom. Let's pray. Father, bless you today. Thank you for your goodness, your wonderful mercy. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for these amazing words that you would give us. May we truly take them and meditate on them day and night, that we might be like a tree that's planted by the edge of a river and grow strong and not be blown about. I bless you and I thank you for all your wonderful mercy and goodness. You are truly a merciful Elohim. I thank you for all of it. Amen. Michael. All right. Shalom. May you be blessed.